see another cut. Sorry about my voice from the Auto Hub show. Been here at NADA for a few days, actually less than normal because of snow, but it's all good. And I'm here at Botdoc IO. Is there E have significance?
Well, that's actually it's actually that's actually our icon logo. So it's not
Oh,
an
okay.
E or a 3 or epsilon or anything like that. It's
Okay.
just our logo. Yeah. So just Botdoc.
So Botdoc, I'm here, and I'm talking about obviously bots. I'm assuming, am I right?
No, no,
No.
much
Okay.
different. There's a whole story on how the name
Okay.
came up. It's all about moving things across the internet
Okay.
securely,
Okay.
but making it really easy.
Okay.
So what's interesting about that is years ago we were building something totally different and inadvertently invented this little piece of technology where we had clients going, "Hey, that's really cool. Can you make that a separate product?"
Okay.
And it's basically the ability for somebody to be, let's say, in an office or a building or wherever, and you're on the phone and say, "Hey, I need your pay stub or bank statement or tax return or
Okay.
something from you, and I just need to send you a text or an email and have you send it back to me."
Okay.
Instead of saying, "Hey, we're going to send you a link to log into this portal and we have to authenticate you and all this," and we actually got started in the defaulted mortgage industry during the crash, and that was kind of our niche was, here's a very distressed consumer, right?
Okay.
Because they're maybe going through foreclosure and the banks couldn't get them to call them, to
Yeah.
talk to them, and this was literally our requirement. They said, we can't get them to log in, put in a PIN or a password. They work off of free Wi-Fi at McDonald's or Panera, and they said, do security in that environment. And I remember we actually started laughing, and we're like, okay, that's impossible. That's an impossible requirement set. And and then we figured out a way to do it. And it has to do with the way that the data is processed, how it's held, kind of the marriage of encryption and the flow. And it was so unique that we broke it off as a separate product, and our clients immediately said, "That's what we need." And we kind of really pivoted the company at that point, and that's where Botdoc was born.
And how did you get into the tech side of the car business? Were you in automotive before, or is this just something you fell into? Or
No, in fact, we have a lot of financial clients, so that's
okay.
really where we started.
Okay.
Banking, lending, insurance, advisory. So one of our large clients years ago was Edward Jones.
Okay. Yeah. Very familiar.
So now today all their 19,000 offices, U.S. and Canada, use
Yeah.
our technology, and it's built into their platforms. And if anybody didn't know any better, they wouldn't know it's us,
Right.
right? And that's the way we like it.
Yeah.
Same thing with companies like Ally Financial use it,
Yeah.
but not on the automotive side.
Right.
Or
Right.
well,
Right.
now there's a small division that's starting to use it on the automotive side, but that's really where we grew up. A lot of community banks, credit unions, and I remember a story years ago. This is before COVID, and there was a bank in Detroit, and they said, hey, they were using things that were not secure, but they were really easy.
In Detroit, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was their thing. They said we have a client base that is less sophisticated. That if we have anything that's challenging or a friction, they're not going to use it. And so they were using something that was not very secure, and we were really trying to help them out. But then they realized what we were doing, and they said, "Wow, that's actually easier than what we had."
Right.
So this is basically what we do: is we talk about it like a seesaw. One side
Okay.
being security and the other side being convenience.
Yeah.
So and this happens in every industry. We have some major financial clients because they have to put so much security in place and it drives the convenience
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the problem is then what good salespeople do is they
Yeah.
do this. They're like, oh, I know you don't have a
Yeah.
scanner.
Yeah. We can
Just
do that.
just take a picture and text it to me.
Yeah.
It'll be fine this time. Then you start getting into compliance issues and exposure. So this happens, and then we've got problems. And in regulated spaces, that's bad. So what we've actually done, we talk about we did this. We broke that
Right.
relationship. So that's really at the end of the day what we do is we allow companies and people to work in a very highly secure encrypted environment,
Okay.
but it's stupid easy.
So it's good for the car business because they're not sophisticated.
Well, it. I'm gonna be politically nice about it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But here's the challenge for automotive is it's a cultural issue now because banking has been regulated for decades. And so it's just part of their MO. They're just used to having to use secure platforms and this. They still struggle with the seesaw. But automotive, as soon as that switch flipped and said, hey, we have to be regulated for cybersecurity,
Yeah.
the challenge became it's a cultural issue.
Yeah.
Because hey, we've been texting, emailing, path of least resistance. Don't get in my way. If you put a hurdle in front of a good sales guy in automotive,
Oh yeah.
he's not going to run around it. He's going to run through it.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
And I don't blame them. Right? Hey, they want that commission check. They want to get it done. So this is really when you start talking about adding more and more security to the equation in automotive, is really the cultural change, and that doesn't happen overnight.
So what about a dealer says, yeah, like I got a problem. We used to like photocopy driver's license, leave them around the store.
Right.
We're not really sure where our data is. We're a little worried about banking, but it's the car business.
Right, and I just want to sell cars.
Yeah.
I could give a rat's ass about all that other stuff. I just want to sell cars. And honestly, if I owned a dealership, at the end of the day, like that's what I care about.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I think, not that what happened this past summer was good. I mean, it was bad. The outage.
Yeah.
But I think what it did is it put things in perspective. Of if this industry does not focus on the right things, you can take your business down for not just a day. I mean, we're talking about a month.
Yeah, I mean, I had dealers who said, I used to think I needed one DMS and one CRM, and now I think I need two.
Yeah.
And I also had dealers who said, okay, well, what do I do to sell cars when I don't have a solution that's digital?
Right.
Now, back when I sold cars with power outages, we used to handwrite
It was just
forms.
paper, yeah.
No, we did the math. We handwrote the forms.
Yeah.
But I used to do this in windstorms. Computers all went down. They're like, oh, we want to sell cars. No problem. I got a piece of paper. Fill it out. Do all the math. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you're selling 500 cars a month,
that's
in
tough.
Longo's case, 2,700 a month.
Yeah.
That's not a solution. But the thing that's interesting is there are companies that were helping dealers sell cars without using a DMS, because they can do that. And then what happened is when the DMS came back and CRM,
they had to reconcile
it
everything.
just integrated.
Oh,
So it just
wow,
pushed all
okay.
those deals later.
Awesome.
Now, for the dealer who had one solution that was down, it's a problem.
Right.
But more importantly, when you're looking at a big financial transaction, a car, second biggest in most people's lives,
Right.
and you had subprime or less than perfect credit, that's a different thing. So when a dealer says to you, okay, I like the security, it's simple, the next question is going to be, what's the ROI? What's the cost? How quickly can I get it done?
Yeah.
And do you do the heavy lifting? Because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there was a lot of questions around that time period where, now you're starting to talk about what does business continuity look like. In the military, you've got primary systems, you've got backup, and there's typically another backup, right? Just in case stuff goes down.
Yeah.
But because military, you got money to, and you're looking at people's lives, right? So it's a little bit different perspective. But as a dealership, what happens if something goes offline? We were in a dealership. It was in Florida, right before this happened, and our team was helping onboard a dealership. And I went out for one because it was a larger client. And when it happened, we were there, and of course, the dealership's like, we have stuff to worry about, and so we were sitting there and trying to help them out, and it was funny. One of the guys, he's like, "All right, let's go. Come here, boys," and he called all the young kids over, and he's like, "We're gonna start selling cars on paper, right?" And he was excited because he was like, "I'm gonna teach you how it used to be." So I think there was a little bit of the old crusty guy that felt like, all right, let's go. None of this digital stuff anymore.
25 years ago, I was doing everything on paper.
Yeah.
There was no computer.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
The only computer in the store was in the accounting department and the finance office.
Right.
We did everything on paper. We did all the math.
It was all.
We didn't do it right. We redid it.
All black screen, blue screen stuff back then.
No, this was paper. like triple.
No, in the back
Oh
office.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's blue screen, Reynolds and Reynolds Unix.
Right. Yeah.
Old school, and not that long ago. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, a lot has changed for sure. But as far as one of the things that we got asked for, so our way our platform works is we help some dealerships with this is we provide a medium for the consumers to engage in.
Okay.
So when they come to the store, there's technology in the store, QR codes and NFC tags that they can engage with
Right.
to either start test drives and also start the car buying process.
Okay.
And what we do is we inject that into the CRM, but we inject it into a framed environment that is still our environment.
Right.
So when for an example, if a CRM goes offline, our technology can still work in tandem. So we actually had some dealerships saying, hey, if we still use Botdoc, can we get access to that? And they were. So not that we ever thought that Botdoc was a business continuity tool,
Right.
but it allows that segregation and a different layered of approach that a business could still use our tech if something did happen to a CRM at the dealership.
So how quickly can a dealer get started?
Mm-hmm.
What benefit would they see, and how would they find out more about Botdoc?
Yeah.
There will be details below in the video.
So, what was the first question? Sorry, it's been a long. It's been a long conference. How quickly? Yeah. So
what cost point were they looking at? Maybe
yeah.
Depends on the store, obviously. And how can they get the details if they have questions?
Yeah. So how quickly? So our team is pretty good as far as our customer success and onboarding teams. But typically we'll do onboardings the second and third week of the month.
Okay.
Because
so not
for obvious reasons. We learned that a couple years ago. But we typically do onboarding, so it's whatever the cycle works. But if they wanted to get started, we can get them up and running pretty quickly.
Okay.
A dealership is looking at for our basic Botdoc Connect that dumps and integrates with the CRMs. You're looking at $500-600 a month.
Okay.
That allows them to when a customer scans, if I had one, I'd show it to you. But if a customer scans or taps the NFC tags or the QR codes, whether they're online, we have integrations with all the major website providers. If they want to schedule a test drive online, or if they come up to the store, a salesperson typically says, hey, scan the QR code, we're going to grab your license.
Right.
Let me go grab the keys. And by the time they get back, the beauty of that is, we talked about good salespeople being efficient, is we all know that a typical salesperson will, hey, let me grab your license, make a photocopy of it, or two, and then says later on, like, I don't know what I did with it, or they left the ID on the flatbed, right? And then they get, if they do end up buying the car, they get to F&I and they're like, well, we need an ID, and they got to scan the ID again. We know how it all works.
I saw one in the security box. I was going through airport security that someone left there.
Yeah, just left
it there.
You're like, we don't need that.
I don't know.
That's right, we don't need it. But the point here is that when a customer scans it, it creates a lead or appends the lead in the CRM, so the salesperson doesn't have to do anything. It's like lazy security. But the dealership's looking at that $500 to $600 range. Obviously there's discounts for multiple dealerships, but it provides their ability to have that integration with their CRM that will populate the leads, and then they have access to this Botdoc environment inside the CRM that anybody at the dealership that has access to it can push out documents.
Okay.
So we're seeing like end of deal docs instead of offering them a paper option.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just give you a digital option? And over 85% of people will take the digital option. It's like you go to a restaurant and
you want a receipt?
No, don't want a receipt. And if you really want it, text it to me because I'm not going to find it in my email. Yeah. So this is actually, and if you actually, we have a dealership group in the South that implemented that across all their dealership groups, and they save more money in not printing paper, folders, and thumb drives than we charge them for our software. And then I sat back and I'm like, oh, we didn't charge them enough. But so they have the ability to push out documents, pull additional documents like STIPs,
Yeah.
tax return, anything related to F&I, anything that's sensitive, they can pull all that directly into the dealership, all end-to-end encrypted. It exceeds any regulatory standards, and it's a fundamental piece of making sure that the dealership is secure, just from a cyber perspective. But one of the things we actually rolled live here at NAD, I keep pointing to one of our demo stations. Sorry.
Like a prompt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is we have, since we have the driver's license on every deal, it gets scanned,
Yeah.
right? So as soon as they take a picture of it, we rip the information, and that's what we use to populate the lead. But downstream from that, once you have the license and the information, things like soft pulls become extremely easy.
Yeah.
So the consumer gets a notification to approve the soft pull, and then everything is pushed into that same environment. So now the salesperson, if the dealership does that, can negotiate a better deal.
Right.
So that was a big integration we did with 700 Credit.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah.
I interviewed them a couple years ago.
Yep. And now we're working on some of their other products, but that payments as well. So those are two things that we rolled live for NADA, but allowing the dealership to, there's a bunch of different systems out there. We kind of look at our technology like the human body, where you've got organs, and then you've got connective tissue that pulls it all together. So CRM, DMS, those are critical organs for the dealership, and we don't replace any of those. We're just kind of this connective tissue that pulls it all together, which at the end of the day, if all those things aren't working together, you've got a problem. So where we live is we bring a consistent branded experience for the consumer and the employee, and we have the ability to communicate with those other organs for the dealership. And what we're finding, we've got a long way to go for the entire process, but what we're finding is the dealerships that use Botdoc are finding really unique and interesting efficiencies in their sales process, and it's also a better experience for the consumer.
Fantastic. And if you don't understand all those technical terms, or you're not a big deal on algorithms or compliance or human resources or data, we can make it easy, obviously, at botdoc.com, I'm assuming.
Yep, just BOTDOC, Botdoc. They can find us. There's plenty of information there.
Thanks very much for the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by.
Details will be below.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.